Hi guys, Hari here. I know it's been a while. I kind of was out of town, had some friends visiting, and then was busy with a few other things, so I haven't really had the opportunity to actually make a first-person VOD for a while. But I finally, well not finally, this was actually like a week ago actually, I think, got a good in-house game. So this is Captain's Mode in-house with a bunch of friends. And it's, yeah, a pretty decent game, so I figured I would do a VOD of this one. So anyway, here it goes. Excuse me. And I'm going to close this, yep, and stick with player perspective of myself. Okay, so basically in this game I'll be playing Queen of Pain. This is only like the second or third time I've ever played Queen of Pain in Dota 2. It's not that I don't love the hero, I just haven't really had the opportunity to play it very often, because plenty of other people are always happy to play her. But here I'm really excited to try out the 2-point Shadow Strike build if I get the opportunity. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking to do, as well as just demonstrating sacrifice lane play, because we are going to have a tri-lane bottom with the Tide, Drow, and AA. So anyway, I blink up top from the fountain as quickly as possible. Someone gave me wards to place. I'm going to place one of them at the pull spot to prevent them from pulling, and then another at the top rune. I can blink one more time, just because it's not going to waste any effective mana, because that mana will be regen by the time the laning comes, so it's just safe to do so. I'm going to try to get up here as quickly as possible to place this ward at the pole. I'm going to be cautious though. I don't want to obviously blink any further forward because then I could just get killed. If I see anyone, I just will not place the ward for now and worry about it later, but looks like we're all safe for now. And yeah, just going to place this ward over here, and then go down to the rune and place the second ward. This ward I place as quickly as possible, even though it's going to now, it won't block the 6-minute creep spawn, just because I want to make sure that I get it down safely, and I don't want them to see me placing it if possible, so they won't counter it. Now I'm also sending myself a clarity on the courier. I kind of went with the sexy bamboo style of Queen of Pain sacrifice lane play, which is to get a lot of regen. You can see that I have 6 tangos, 2 healing salves, and pick up clarity as well, just to guarantee that I can trade hits with support if necessary, especially because if you take a look at the heroes, it's most likely a Windrunner, sacrifice lane, Death Prophet mid, and we're going to have Lich, Shadow Fiend top. Although, well, maybe you would think that they would be bottom, because usually you're not going to put Lich support in your safe lane. You'd much prefer to have him in your long lane, because the sacrificing creeps is just going to pull it back into the tower rather than pulling your lane back to the tower like you would normally get in the long lane or in the mid. So who knows, maybe they could be mid and the Death Prophet would be top. Either way, I have picked up Blink level 1. There was a possibility for going level 1 Shadow Strike if maybe I could trade hits and wasn't afraid of anything, but I just went Blink to make sure I got that ward down more quickly. So for now I'm just hiding off on the side. This would be a risky thing to do, actually, moving in over here if they place down a lane ward already, so I actually wouldn't necessarily suggest doing this unless you go here right away. But yeah, now I see that I'm up against the Lich and Shadow Fiend, so I come up a little bit more. I know I'm pretty safe here. In fact, I could actually be a bit more aggressive than I'm being, because I know Shadow Fiend's not going to have nukes at level 1, Lich isn't going to have nukes at level 1, and in all likelihood Enigma doesn't have his stun at level 1, so I'm probably pretty safe to just stay up here farming. In fact, even trading hits if I had gotten level 1 Shadow Strike. So I guess that's one thing, it just kind of as a note to always take note of your situation, like not just to autopilot into playing how you expect you're going to need to play in a sacrifice lane, but understanding what the specific situation is. Getting actually a low frame per second drop here for some reason, not sure exactly what's going on. I'm just going to pause and unpause. Nope, back to 30. Oh, no, now back to 17. I don't really know what's going on. Alright, yeah, just going to pause this real quick, and now, of course, it goes back to 30. What? I guess I don't have to pause it then. Alright, just going to resume, and hopefully it stays up. Anyway, oh, yeah, it's a quick time update, of course. So I see the Lich coming up and playing pretty far forward. I don't have my Shadow Strike yet, so I don't necessarily want to trade hits that much, because I don't really have my harassing ability, and he does have his harassing ability now that he has level 2. But fortunately, by them kind of harassing me like this next to the creeps, which is something you should really never do, they have actually ruined the lane balance, and they are kind of pushing it a little bit, although Shadow Fiend's doing a good job controlling. Here I do have the Shadow Strike, so now I'm going to trade hits. I do eat a tree when I could have maybe gotten one more right click off if I hadn't, but I just wanted to be certain that I would have enough health if he just did decide to stay around. But he, of course, cannot, really. So I mean, at this point, either is really possible. Sorry for not turning off notifications. I should have done that. I really know better, but hopefully these people won't spam me too much. Yeah, Shadow Fiend denying from really high up. I mean, now that Shadow Fiend has a couple, oh my god.
Thought you had that, didn't you?
He's still messaging me. Now that he has a couple souls, it's going to be really difficult for me to get any contested creeps from him. Yeah, sorry, I was just kind of flustered a little bit there from just the repeated PMs from the same person. Yeah, should just disable notifications. I really know better than that by now. But yeah, any contested creeps I'm going to really have difficulty with. I mean, Queen of Pain actually has a great projectile animation, but not an amazing attack animation. So with a lot of practice, you can be really good at making sure to get those last hits. I actually have level 2 Shadow Strike here, and I really want to get it on this Lich. I feel pretty safe going past the tower here because of the vision I have on the Enigma with that ward, actually. And so I'm just going to clarity up. The other reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted to use my clarity so that I could go buy my magic stick. Getting a magic stick early is pretty good in the sacrifice lane because it can give you a little bit of burst regen to survive if they do try to gank you. And against a Lich who's going to be probably repeatedly spamming spells, it's also a pretty solid idea. And then after that I should just be going towards a bottle. Although the thing is with the Zeus going bottled mid, I didn't really know that I wanted to go bottle, but then just kind of realized that yeah, on a Queen of Pain, you really just need that bottle. But yeah, so just kind of hanging up, getting experience as much as possible. I don't have any levels in Scream obviously yet, so the odds of actually picking up a kill are pretty low. Instead, I just want to kind of waste the regen and give myself some space. Although at the same time, even if I do have space against that Shadow Fiend, it's not going to amount to much because his damage is just so high thanks to those souls. But yeah, well, who knows? Maybe if the Lich gets forced back, then I can just trade hits with him. Anyway, here's the Lich coming forward again, so just going to land a Scream on him. I could have actually gotten another right click off on him there, but I turned around because I saw the Shadow Fiend was coming up with the creeps all dead there. And yeah, just messing up a couple last hits there. Almost out of my tangos here, and actually did want to bring up something here while there's not necessarily a lot going on, which is actually about hotkeys. No, I think I'll have an opportunity to talk about this later. Actually, I'm just going to continue talking about laning now, and maybe I can mention it later. But yeah, so Lich is actually still not even up here, so I'm in a fine spot. I don't even have to worry about being forced back. I'm Holy playing the Zeus has actually headed toward top. I told him that I'm certain that they have a ward up here, so there's really no reason for him to come, but he wants to come anyway because, well, he loves to gank. He does send an illusion back, but he does it within range of the ward, I think. So they could actually probably guess which one was the real one. Although it is a clever trick, leaving two up here and then sending one back, because it might make them believe that the one that's going back is the real one, whereas the two that remained are the illusion copies. But in this case, they didn't fall for it. However, I'm not going to complain too much, because even though he's screwing himself a little bit by letting the mid catch up, or get ahead depending on the situation of how well the mid did, I'm at least getting some much appreciated farm, which I can't necessarily do with that Shadow Fiend. Because God, it's just damage is so high, and the animation is pretty amazing. But yeah, not really a whole lot else to say about it. Whenever the Lich comes up, like I said, I'm going to try to harass. Don't really want to have to run up to hit the Shadow Fiend with harassment. Yeah, here I am actually going for the Lich, but you have to slow first. You can see exactly why this was a mistake. Because, yeah, I kind of just opened myself up to a couple hits from the Shadow Fiend, which really just makes the harassment not worth it. I ended up throwing it out on the Shadow Fiend anyway, just because I wanted to have hit someone by running forward like that. But as soon as I got slowed by the Lich before I was able to get in range for the Shadow Strike, I should have just backed off. Now here is a great opportunity to throw a Shadow Strike and a couple right clicks, and then I'm just going to blink back, because, well, yeah, I have 180 health, and I just want to salve up. But yeah, just gonna stick with farming. Fortunately, by hitting both of them with Shadow Strikes, I guess I have actually forced them back, at least temporarily. Obviously, like I said, the downside is that I really don't have any burst damage to pick up a kill, even if they were to be low. So I just kind of have to live with the satisfaction of denying them experience and forcing them to waste a lot of money on regen, which I assume is what the Lich is off doing maybe right now. Since I can see, I mean, here I can see him in the jungle. In the game, I didn't actually know what was going on. But yeah, next to my tower now, so it's pretty safe for me to farm here, even if I fail at farming, because, like I said, I didn't really play Queen of Pain much, and not really used to how much damage she deals in her animation and everything. Plus, obviously, with just 3 iron branches and no other stat boost, like no mantles of intelligence, I don't really have much in the way of right-click damage. But yeah, looks like there's a possibility of a push coming here, but doesn't seem to be coming yet. They do have the catapult though, so I'm kind of surprised. One of the responsibilities of the offlane player is to make sure to call out before any push comes, so that your team can respond in time. You don't really want to have to call it out when they're on top of the tower. But yeah, actually their catapult's there, and I see the Enigma, so actually this is what I'm saying. Alright, team, guys, there's a push coming. I need help up here now. So you need to call it out before they get to the tower so your team can TP and defend at the tower. Unfortunately, my team has not actually decided to come. You can see them off buying TPs now. Unfortunately, they didn't already have TPs. At 7 minutes, you probably should. And yeah, this is going to mean it's really difficult for me, because they can't just TP on top of the tower, because that's going to put them in a really tough position. I'm going to try to use my Scream to take down these Eidolons, but because I only have level 2 Scream, it's not going to be that effective. I do salve up just because I want to go for the deny, but I just barely miss it. I do run in here and throw out a scream before blinking out, and I just plan on basically turning around now. But finally, the TPs do come in. Well, actually, Tide starts the TP and then cancels his for whatever reason, and Zeus is here. I do use my wand charges. Just I would hope to have thrown a slow, but actually it's not going to happen. But so instead, I just blink forward just to give vision, one more right click, and I am going to get first blood on the Shadow Fiend thanks to the 2 Zeus nukes. So at least Zeus was kind enough to TP eventually, although obviously too late because we sacrificed the tier 1 tower for basically nothing. My wand charges are enough to keep me alive here, or stick charges, and I am just going to blink out to survive. So getting a first blood on the Shadow Fiend is certainly good, but I don't know, giving them a tier 1 tower for nothing really in exchange. Well, I mean, the first blood wasn't really in exchange for the tower. It was just afterwards because they overplayed, and Zeus did TP, and Zeus does a ton of damage to Shadow Fiend early on. Yeah, not necessarily the best thing ever. So anyway, back in base now. Finish up my magic wand just to save space, buy boots, because even though Queen of Pain doesn't necessarily need boots, I am in a rather precarious position, and I decide I should probably buy a bottle. Nope, but I still haven't done it yet, because like I said, just wanted to give those Zeus the runes, and also TP back just a little bit early. I'm just kind of willing to give up a little bit of health, I guess, just to get more experience. Really, when you go this... Okay, so I mean, I guess it's time to talk about the build a little bit more. So since I went the 2 points in Shadow Strike, I have to level Scream of Pain next, and you'll notice I actually haven't picked up my ultimate. I still haven't, actually. I'm level 7, which is because Scream does, you know, approximately as much damage. Level 4 Scream does approximately as much damage as a level 1 ult. Ooh, and actually, I see the Zeus ult here on the Lich, who I hadn't planned on killing, but he is only level 5 Lich, and he's already got a fair amount of damage coming out to him from that Shadow Strike, so once after I see the Zeus ult hit him, I just decide to blink in. So, I mean, that's the good thing. I think the Zeus ult was picking up a kill somewhere else, but kind of had served double duty. So here I'm just kind of thinking what exactly I can get, and decide, yeah, finally I just need to pick up that bottle. Not having bottle on Queen of Pain is just a mistake, generally speaking. But yeah, so basically Scream of Pain is just more reliable damage because you can use it so much more frequently. The ult will give me more burst damage immediately, but this is just going to give me more consistent spammable damage, and it'll be better for farming. So that is why I go with just maxing Scream of Pain when going the 2-point Shadow Strike build, and you don't actually pick your ult until level 8. Some people will go 2-1-2 and then ult at 6, but I think this is probably preferable. I did come for the rune, but it is a haste rune, so I give it to Zeus just because he has more use for it than me. Obviously, me having blink. Not that haste runes aren't good for me still. See them pushing bottom. I do have my ult now, so I can actually TP in if I need to. We'll see if they... Basically, if the other team ends up fighting on the tower, I'll be happy to TP in. If my team push them back, there won't really be a lot of reason. And in the meantime, I'm just going to take whatever farm I can up here, because, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously a bit behind on farm. I'm taking a look down there, but I see the other team is basically being forced back off the tower, so there's just really no reason for me to TP in. Plus, there was already at least 1, if not 2 TPs in, which means mine's going to take a while, so I'm just going to stay up here and farm instead. And I see this Lich actually just nuke me, and he's still level 5 Lich, so there's, I mean, this is really a mistake by him. I blink over, throw out a slow on him, try to get close enough for a Scream, do get one Scream off, one more right click. I'm not sure if I'll have enough, and I don't want to blink in on the tower, so I just throw out my ult to guarantee that I get the kill. Because who knows what would happen if I had to try to blink to the tower, and it was still like a 3-second cooldown left anyway, so just use the ult for the guaranteed kill, and just going to go back to farming now. So yeah, just really poor decision by the Lich there. Shouldn't have come forward like that. Has to know that I can just kill him if I want to when he's by himself, and yeah, well, and I guess after he'd done that, once he realized his mistake, maybe he should have just TP'd out. He might have survived, actually, if he had just TP'd out immediately, but he didn't. So anyway, this game I do decide to go for the Aghanim build. Multiple reasons for it. One, we're kind of a nuke-heavy, burst damage-y team. I mean, with Zeus, AA, Tide, Queen of Pain, obviously. So having that additional burst damage and reliable burst damage more frequently is just going to be nice. It's going to mean it's a lot easier for us to pick up spare kills with AA ult plus Zeus ult plus my ult somewhere on the map. Anyway, Zeus is actually running into their jungle here. I tell him not to. I tell him I have to wait for the rune here because there's a rune going to spawn in just like 2 seconds. Rune doesn't end up spawning, so now I am going to come with him. But he's already pretty deep in here. He does find this Enigma, which he proceeds to nuke down, and then he decides to dive past all the Eidolons, which is just a terrible idea because the Enigma can just turn around and Malefice. I do try to blink in to try to help him out. but then yeah, I realized that it's not a good idea. I tried nuking down the Eidolons, but they disappeared just in time, and now I'm in a really bad spot. I'm going to use my stick charges and blink, and basically as soon as I get around this corner, I'm just going to TP immediately. There's no, I mean, if I keep running, my odds of surviving are pretty low, so my best hope is just to fog them and TP immediately, and hope that whoever catches me first can't stun, like the Lich. And Lich wasn't level 6 yet, so he actually didn't have something to interrupt the TP, so it did work out. So anyway, yeah. Talking about the Aghanims, I mean, like I said, the burst damage is nice. Also, I just love split pushing, and it's something my teammates in these in-houses don't frequently do effectively enough, or at least not most of them. So having that Aghanims for the split pushing will just be great. You know, lets me nuke down creep waves much more frequently. I see the Windrunner actually playing up pretty far here, and really easy for me to get kill on the Windrunner with this level 2 Shadow Strike build. So I just Shadow Strike her to get the slow and the dot up, and then throw out the Scream. I make sure that, yeah, I'm not keeping any trees behind me, and I just keep running after her, knowing that one more Scream, one more right click will be enough, and she dies. Really playing too far forward. Just really easy pick off for me, especially since she's kind of under-leveled. She got less experience than I did in the Sacrifice lane, since she was up against an actual tri-lane, as opposed to me, who was up against a jungling hero, and not a tri-lane that really had a potential to kill. Although Tide, Drow, not maybe amazing at killing either, but... Anyway, we have a pretty nice, solid early lead, although you kind of expect something like that when you have a Zeus. I mean, Zeus is really peaking very early in the game, generally speaking. So something like this isn't totally unexpected. But yeah, I didn't really finish the Aghanims build. Oh, I mean, the other options are Lycans. Lycans is good when there's a lot of important single target disables, like a Beastmaster ult. Oh, actually, fighting going on. I'm going to TP in here. We'll get back to that a little bit later. Windrunner already dead. Going to blink in on top of this Death Prophet. She has her ult up, so I don't want to take any chances. I'm just going to scream and ult to guarantee that we pick her off. Don't want to have to stand there and tank that ult any longer than I need to. And now I'm going to head bottom towards this Invis rune, which I would be happy to give to the Zeus, I think. But I also see that the Lich is heading down here, and I'm certainly not going to get the rune to someone on the other team, so instead I'm just going to blink and take the Invis rune, and then maybe look to set something up. I think, yeah, I will. Yeah, I popped the Invis rune. Although, sorry, heading on. Popping it there may be a little bit risky, because if the Lich was coming down there for it, maybe there's a chance they had a ward there, so that's probably why he's playing back. I'm just going to hide in the trees here and wait for someone to appear in the mid, and then probably blink in on him. I am pinging this Lich because I would really like to go, but unfortunately my team's just not quite close enough. But then, yeah, the Lich comes over here. I just, Zeus does use his ult to give vision. One Scream plus Shadow Strike is enough, plus Zeus coming over and getting one lightning bolt, and we do manage to pick off the Lich. So, another just nice little gank there. But meanwhile, it looks like Windrunner is doing some nonsense with our Ancient Apparition in the mid. Does get frozen. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit busy, you know, because there's creeps here, and I like creeps. I probably should have gone and helped out. It was a little bit my fault, although I didn't really know exactly what was going on. I'm going to blink in over here, try to kill off this Enigma. Enigma does have quite a bit of health, though, so it doesn't go down very easily. I am going to try to follow up, but yeah, it looks like the Enigma has TP'd out, and it is going to be my turn to back off. But yeah, so Lycan's good against single target disables that you really have to prioritize not getting hit by, like Beastmaster Roar. They don't really have anything like that specifically. I mean, Shackle and Malefice, both pretty annoying, but not, I mean, both kind of avoidable. I mean, you can blink out after Malefice, and you should try to generally avoid getting shackled. Oh, and also, speaking of... God, I cannot finish with this thought about my item build at all. But I just realized, for those of you who are noticing right now, I only have 1 point in my ultimate. This is not intentional. This is a mistake. Just my first time doing this 2-point Shadow Strike build, so I guess I was just kind of off with my skill points. And, yeah, I should only have 3 points in Blink and 2 points in ult, obviously. That's just a mistake. There's no intention for that. I do have a regen rune, so I'm going to kind of blink over here, and I want to just throw out some harassment on the Shadow Fiend, but I see that he's actually pushed the creeps, so instead I'm just going to take these creeps. Now I want to get the Shadow Strike on him. I just plan on going and using my regen rune, so I'm going to blink away. I'm telling Ancient Apparition not to run in. I don't really know why he's running in here. He's just going to get himself killed. I run off to the side so that I can't get my regen rune up. Unfortunately, I only going to have 1 level of my ult here, and the Ancient Apparition is just going to die. I don't have a slow yet, or again, so I don't really have anything I can do to the Enigma. I could have jumped in and tried to scream or something to keep him back, but then I would just get Black Hole and died. But speaking of getting Black Hole and died, that's going to happen anyway. This is kind of my fault too. Well, no, it's definitely my fault. It's just this is something I've talked about before, which is that when your teammates do stupid things and you tell them not to, and they do it anyway, don't kind of like try to compensate for it. Like here, yeah, he actually absolutely... I'm not sure if he would have died when I ulted immediately, but the Zeus would have killed him for certain if I'd had level 2 ult. So, mistake in that regard, but also a mistake in the A ran in and died even though I told him not to, and I should just let him die. Don't go in as well and try to make up for it. Okay, so last time talking about item build, Aghanims, yeah, over Lycans because Lycans doesn't really have any effective things that it stops here. First item Hex, not really an amazing choice. I mean, it actually would be pretty good against Enigma, unless the Enigma goes first item BKB, which is very likely, actually, since he's up against a Tide, and we've got a lot of things that can disable the Enigma ult, but nothing that can go through BKB. So first item BKB is pretty likely, which makes the Hex less good of a choice. Also, because obviously the Shadow Fiend will get the BKB pretty quickly. And then, first item BKB would be okay, but I really don't like that because you end up with such a low duration BKB in the mid-game, which is just really less favorable. And also with going first item Aghanims, it's, you know, getting that point booster is your first, like, big buy. It's just so nice because it provides health and mana, which is just obviously both things you really want. Which also allows you to avoid having to pick up treads. Obviously having treads when you have a bottle is pretty nice because you can certainly be a lot more efficient with your mana or with bottling up by tread swapping. But in general, by not or by getting the point booster, I don't really need the treads, so I can just keep regular boots, which is going to allow me to pick up travels a little bit later. And travels makes a lot of sense with Aghanims as well, because like I said, Aghanims is great for split pushing, and well, that's what travels are great for too, because I can, you know, TP around the map and kind of use my ultimate, especially once I'm level 16 and have the Aghanims, to just clear creep waves very quickly since it's only a 40-second cooldown. So, finally, finished talking about, basically, I mean, everything else for item build standard. Obviously, Magic Wand, basically every hero in the game, carry TPs, and just getting regular boots is fine because, well, even though you're Queen of Pain, having a little bit of movement speed doesn't hurt. Anyway, sorry, I was taking a drink. You do see the Zeus ult, actually, which shows me a pretty low health Shadow Fiend. So I am going to blink in, use the Scream and the Slow, and I plan on blinking in again. So I use my Magic Wand, I'm going to blink one more time, and use the Scream. Actually, he tries to turn around because he thinks I'm going to run up, doesn't expect that I'll blink, and tries to nuke me. And he should have actually had TP help a little bit sooner. And then I might have regretted that blink up onto the high ground. Probably something you shouldn't normally do, but I don't know, I felt like the Zeus ult indicated that there was probably fighting somewhere else, so they were probably locked up in that, which meant that I had the opportunity to get a pick off. Especially because picking up that Shadow Fiend is really important to keep him down. Anyway, I do buy my Staff of Wizardry now towards the Aghanims. It's the last, I mean, obviously I have enough for the Ogre Club, but I have no items that I want to replace. I do really want to keep all the regen items that I can in the sense of the wand and the bottle. Because, yeah, well, on Queen of Pain, being able to blink out, regen up, and blink back in is really important. And I go for the Staff over the Ogre Club, just because, yeah, they'll give me a little bit more right-click damage for farming, and a little bit more mana to spam spells as well. And I see all these juicy Eidolons, so I'm going to blink over here and try to get them before they die this time, and I do manage to pick them up. Oh, all that gold, it's so nice. It's going to be a trend in this game, you'll see, me liking getting gold. Liking getting lots of little numbers all at once. But anyway, so just going to continue keeping these side lanes pushed out. Like I said, generally my team doesn't do a very good job of making sure that they're farming all lanes at all times. So, yeah, kind of making that my responsibility, which is something I'm happy to do. I probably could be a little bit more active, but at the same time they have some pretty good abilities for countering me. I mean, the Death Prophet Silence is really annoying to deal with. Obviously if I blink in, I can get shackled very easily. And obviously the Black Hole is terrible for heroes that rely on maneuverability. So, I don't know, I mean, I'm still going to be good in team fights, but can't hurt to farm. I do see the Death Prophet, who I was talking about, is pretty bad for me, so I'm going to play pretty far back here, because if I get silenced, I can be in a lot of trouble. Even though she can't stun me and I can just TP out, there's a high likelihood of someone else behind her being able to stun. By now, though, I should probably be TPing top to take that farm there. I think I'm maybe just going to take this one last wave and then TP top. My team is pushing in the mid-tier 1 tower, unfortunately, because we have no tier 1 towers left. We're kind of in a bad position in that regard. Yeah, it actually looks like the fight is going to go on, so I am going to try to that over there as quickly as possible. I should maybe be blinking, but I kind of want to see how this develops. A ult is going to get a nice hit on 2, which means that I'm going to have some juicy targets. Oh, but the Enigma does have his BKB finished. He is going to come in and get a good BKB Black Hole, and so I'm going to try to blink up here as quickly as possible and just throw out my ult right away. I just want to finish them off as fast as possible. Do manage to hit both the Windrunner and the Shadow Fiend with the ult, and then going to come in and get the slow on the Enigma, trying to save the Zeus's life, but Zeus is going to take down the Maleficus anyway. But the AA does intelligently enough turn back around, and we are able to pick off the Enigma. So in the end, it does end up being a 5-for-3 trade, which isn't too bad for us, even though we do lose our carry, the Drow, which is not necessarily great. As I was saying, unfortunately they took all our tier 1 towers very early, which is bad for us because, well, bad for me specifically, because as Queen of Pain, I'm such a great mobile hero and an amazing counter ganker in the sense I can TP 2 towers and immediately blink forward and basically already be in the fight. Unfortunately, lacking tier 1 towers makes that a lot less effective. As you can see, with my team fighting there at the tier 1. Oh yeah, we got a tier 1 tower as well, so actually a really good fight for us. I wasn't really able to get there in time to help, even though I had a TP. Which is also another reason why saving and getting boots for travel after the Aghanims will be even more effective, because it will allow me to TP to creeps and be there for my team, despite us not having tier 1 towers. And I do have enough for the Aghanims now, so I would like to send that to myself, but I think someone else was using the courier for a second. Yeah, I'm sending it over to me. And Aghanims finished. And only one more level to 16. Obviously, getting the Aghanims plus 16 really important, because that's when you get that 40-second cooldown. I mean, Aghanims obviously still good before 16, but just amazing once you are 16. Just hanging out up here, no real vision of them anywhere on the map, so there's a pretty decent chance of getting ganked, so I have to play pretty passively. Pop the Invis rune, gonna go look into the jungle here. Do you see the Shadow Fiend farming up here? And with this Invis rune plus the Zeus and AA, there's a decent chance of us being able to pick this up. So AA targets his ult. As soon as I realize it's going to hit, I'm going to start using my abilities right away. I use the Shadow Strike plus Scream. I'm going to blink on top, get a few more right clicks, just looking for the Scream. Zeus ends up ulting just to guarantee the kill anyway, which I guess is fine since the Enigma came. I could be in a little bit of trouble. Although the Enigma's Black Hole is still on cooldown from that last fight, so even if Zeus hadn't ulted, I would have been able to get the kill there with one more Scream. Still though, I mean, no harm in being certain about it. So decent play by the Zeus regardless, and good map awareness by him and the AA. Like I was talking about this, I don't know, I mean, so this was a CM, and this was actually not me picking. Generally I do like to draft for my team, but Holy also likes to draft. Holy for the win, being the Zeus player, like I mentioned earlier. And he's a significantly more unconventional drafter than I am, but yeah, not really a lot I can say about this. Right here, I see the Enigma. I want to throw out a Shadow Strike, but then I realized, no, maybe it's just time to get out of here with our whole team heading over here. But yeah, kind of untraditional, as I was saying, drafter, but in some instances that can be pretty effective, especially here. His kind of burst damage team against Shadow Fiend was a pretty nice pick, or nice drafting. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily why we won. I feel like in general in these in-houses, it's more often than not the skill difference that determines the games, not necessarily the picks, but his picks are pretty good, even though I think that it was kind of unconventional. I was actually complaining a bit when he first drafted it, saying, you realize you've picked a team with basically no reliable stuns. I mean, you've got the Tide ult, but before that you've got nothing. But, it shows what I know. Anyway, just going to farm these creeps real quick. Actually, I could just go sell my TP and I would have enough for the travel, so I really don't even need to farm these, but I am going to anyway. Which doesn't mean I'm not going to be able to blink back there, but like I said, do have enough for my travels now, so I will sell my TP as soon as I get back, get my travels up. Oh yeah, so actually you can see how I move my items. I've talked about my keybinds before, and I'm, to be perfectly honest, not really very happy with them. So this is an Ask the Audience question. Alright guys, my keybinds as of right now are, I use 1 and 2 as control groups, as well as a side mouse button as my third control group. 1 and 2, generally the ones I have to use much more frequently, but the third side mouse for something like a Beastmaster Hawk or a Tornado when playing Chen or Enchantress. And then I use 3 through 5, as well as spacebar and the side mouse button for my items. Anyway, the point is, I don't really, like 3, spacebar, and the side mouse button are what I would consider reflex binds, in the sense that I can kind of just use them in very quickly, responsively. So that's where the important items go. Like in this case, Bottle is on the side mouse button, Magic Wand is on 3, and BKB would probably be spacebar once I get that. And then the other 2 things are kind of more like premeditated, like the TP, mana boots, stuff like this. Anyway, the problem that I have is with these, I don't basically have enough ones that I feel comfortable using frequently enough. So like for tread swapping, it's just I'm not as effective at tread swapping as I would like to be, because I can't just tab through my treads real quick with a button that I would like. So if anyone has suggestions for some nice keybinds, you know, if you have some keybinds and you just think they're the tits, just kind of let me know in the comments or whatever, or send me a message. Preferably in the comments, probably better. And yeah, I would just love to hear about them. And maybe I can find something that I'm just slightly more happy with, because like I said, I'm not completely content with what I'm using at this moment. Shadow Fiend there does have his BKB up, although we've seen that before. A little bit of fighting going on the bottom, or not necessarily fighting, but just Holy being too aggressive. In addition to being an unconventional picker, Holy is also extremely unconventional in the sense that he's way too aggressive. Creep Wave here, I would think about just using my ult to pop the Creep Wave, as well as do some damage to Shadow Fiend, which is I think what I'd like to do. Have to be pretty careful here, because I'm pretty far forward as well. It's funny, I'm talking about Holy being a bit risky when I also am being a bit risky. Although, like I said, they don't really have reliable ways to kind of stun me. Either, I mean, they've got the Windrunner if she can land a shackle, but I feel like as long as I kind of pay attention, that shouldn't happen. And, well, actually, if she'd come out about a second earlier there, I would have gotten shackled. So, just as I'm talking, I kind of screw up. So, let that be a lesson. Not to talk. Also, I talk about, I was kind of jokingly mentioning how well I was playing later in this game, although I wasn't playing that amazingly or anything, but I was just kind of teasing. And then I have an amazing ult later, which you guys will certainly see. Just a bit of foreshadowing. I do see this level 11 Death Prophet here, and I'd really just like to go pick her off. And I feel like my team was kind of in position, but I guess they're really not, so now I'm actually the one who's not in position. Once again, I shouldn't talk about people being out of position when I'm actually the one. But if they come up on the high ground here, this would be a great fight for us. So yeah, I turn around, but they're intelligent enough not to go high ground with no vision. Since we just counter-warded there, there's no chance of them having vision. And yeah, but now with Tide in front, looks like we are going to be going. However, I'm telling my team, just give me 2 seconds, there's going to be a rune here, I really want to get this since I'm at half health. It is unfortunately illusions, not like regen or haste or invis or double damage, all of which would have been better, stinking illusions. So I'm just going to pop them immediately, not really do anything too effective with them, I just A-move them towards the tower. We would like to put a little pressure on this tower. Unfortunately, you know, we're playing against Enigma with BKB and Shadow Fiend, Death Prophet. They've got a ton of team fight, so we can't really force fights. Instead, our lineup really relies on getting pick-offs and then turning that into a push. So that's kind of why, even though we might have a decent advantage, we're not really kind of forcing fights. But speaking of forcing fights, Tide is just way too far forward right now. Shouldn't really be up that far. I guess it kind of pushes them off the tower and lets us do damage to it, but I don't know. Anyway, like I said, don't really want to force a fight, and see our tower bottom taking on a lot of pressure, including a catapult, so I'm just going to tell my team to back off and TP down here. Unfortunately, the Ancient Apparition and Zeus were kind of out of position, and actually they get the courier killed. Could partially be my fault for calling back off when we thought we were going to engage there, but like I said, forcing team fights is really never going to be beneficial for us, so I feel like I made the right call, and just no reason to let that many creeps side of the tower, just giving up a lot of free gold anyway, and experience, in addition to letting our tower take a lot of unnecessary damage, which is not really something you ever want, for not even necessarily a guaranteed tower kill of our own. But yeah, so the AA does get picked off regardless, and I'm pinging. I'm not sure exactly why, maybe because I'm afraid that they're going to go do Rosh now. I mean, it's 30 minutes in, they could really just steal Rosh at any time. I actually see the Death Prophet coming up here. Oh yeah, and both of them counter-warding. Would really like to fight them here, have my ult, and if they fight in a small space like that, it's going to be perfect for us. We still have the Tide ult, so this is a good time for us to fight. But intelligently enough, they retreat up their own personal high ground, and intelligently enough, we do not follow, because, yeah, you don't ever go up that high ground. If we did, we'd just get Enigma Black Hole, it's Shadow Fiend ulted, silence from the Death Prophet. Basically splatted. So instead, what I'm going to do is a much more typical kind of split pushing technique, which is that basically when teams are grouping up around the Rosh pit, you just go push the top lane and force the other team to come defend. Once you see the TPs or people moving up to defend this lane, then you can go in for Rosh. Although we're not necessarily looking to go in for Rosh. But yeah, you see I use my ult right away just because I want to get their creeps dead as quickly as possible to kind of put pressure on this tower since there is the catapult there and since that is why I headed up here. And I'm just ready to blink away at a moment's notice. I see the Shadow Fiend, but obviously Shadow Fiend by himself not a real threat for us. Do see my team kind of seeing them in the woods here. But I don't have much mana at all, not a ton of health, and I don't have my ultimate, so this is not a fight that I necessarily want. So I am just going to TP back to base. Unfortunately, my team should be running left through the woods, but actually running down like that. I don't know why they would ever take that path. It's just a terrible path to take. And yeah, it's actually going to get the Zeus picked off. Like, I mean, we know they were all in their woods there, so even going down that hill to begin with, it's just going to put you on low ground when they could potentially be on high ground, which is not what you want. And then, yeah, continuing down that path, just obviously it gets you picked off. Anyway, picked up my ultimate orb now, going to go for Hex next. Even though Hex isn't going to be super effective, because like I said, the two targets I really want to Hex, the Enigma and the Shadow Fiend, both already have BKBs. Hexing Death Prophet is good if we initiate and she can't get her ult off. Once she has her ult off, hexing her isn't amazing. Just gonna, speaking of ult, just throw mine out here, just hoping to do a little harassment to them as well as taking out that creep wave. Like I said, there's no reason not to. But in general, Hex is just a nice item to have. I could potentially go for my BKB now, but I think I'm just going to be content picking up a Hex. Tide is actually in the front. Looks like we're trying to force a fight here, but I'm not really certain that we want to. We don't have Zeus. And yeah, well, there's a rune somewhere, so I'm going to instead just go pick that up, bottling up, and going pick up this nice regen rune, which is always something you're really happy to have as a Queen of Pain, because you can blink out and regen up. And looks like it's just time for a little bit more posturing around the roast pit. Which should be my cue back to probably even travels back up top, I would say, is probably what I should be doing. The problem with traveling Yeah, it's a tough word, but the problem with TPing using travels to a side lane split push is that you can't TP back for a little bit. I mean, I'm not Furion. But still, I think that's probably where I should be right now, because I'm not really accomplishing a whole lot being in this mid. And, I mean, like I said, it's not like we're going to force the tower. In fact, even being far forward like that to scream the creeps is pretty risky, because I could get Malefist into silenced and kind of be screwed, or just getting shackled very easily. So yeah, actually that was a really bad positioning by me there. But yeah, we see they're definitely all still here, so come on. Come on, Drew, time to TP to a different lane. And instead, I guess I'm just going to run up there so that I can TP back, so I guess that's fine. I mean, I have regen, so I can easily blink, and I'll be content to use my ult, no problem. Because now that I have the 40-second ult cooldown from level 16 with Aghanims, the only thing I'm really afraid of is just the waste of mana. I was planning on just Aghanims, ulting them, but a lot of them were low HP, so I figured, I can just scream anyway. Maybe I'll ult the next creep wave, actually, when it gets here, which will give my creep wave a lot of momentum. But no, actually, I guess I decided not to ult them either. I'm just going to scream them as well. Hang on to that ult as much as possible. But yeah, so 22 to 13. I mean, we do still have an advantage, although, I mean, towers are even, so it's not that much of an advantage. Although, our late game, I don't know. It's tough to say whose late game is better. Honestly, I would probably say that theirs is, even though we have a better carry, just because they have the Enigma. And speaking of the Enigma, actually going to TP in here. My team wanted to engage, so I am going to blink forward. I could ult there, but I just really don't want to be the first one in. I probably should have ulted anyway, but as soon as I saw them turn around on me and saw that there were 4 there and my team was that far back, I just turned back around. Even if I have my team help me, as a Queen of Pain, I really don't ever want to be the first one into a fight, because if I get silenced and killed, it just doesn't, I don't contribute a whole lot. Even if I do get my ult off, like mobility and continually screaming, stuff like this is just really much more important. So the Tide should be the first one in. I mean, this is kind of a lesson that a lot of people need help with in general, is that you really want to always mind your positioning, pay attention to what hero you are and where you should be. Especially since, I mean, if I hadn't used my travels to TP in there, maybe going in first and dying is okay, because I can buy back and travels back and then be back in the fight. That would actually maybe be worth it, because then we can win a team fight off that, which is why I am going to keep buyback money after getting my Hex basically constantly, so that I can always travel as TP. I do actually see the Death Prophet here, and would like to just go in, and we're just going to immediately Shadow Strike and ult, and the Zeus ult pops, or the Lich ult is doing a fair amount of damage to us, so we are going to split up, and then we see basically them coming in over on the left side here, so we should just kind of all split up, but instead the Drow decides to just run in. Don't really know exactly what she's doing, so anyway, I'm just going to try to take down these few heroes if I can as quickly as possible, and then blink out, and bottling up, unfortunately take a hit from the tower while that's happening, and yeah, basically everyone else is dead. If you notice also, the Tide didn't even get his ult off, which should never really happen in team fight. I don't know how that's possible. Yeah. Anyway, kind of not the best team fight ever for us. I don't know, Drow should have backed off instead of going in. This is kind of that positioning thing I was talking about, and just being mindful of how a team fight should go for you. But the fact that instead she just kind of ran into those 2 heroes meant that she got black holed. Even if she did get her BKB off in time, just got black holed and immediately died, and we lost a large source of our DPS. I mean, yeah, I did kind of overplay a little bit. I probably shouldn't have gone that deep. But at the same time, I felt like by taking out the Death Prophet immediately, we would have an advantage in any team fight that came. And we did take out the Death Prophet and the Lich, although the Lich did get his ult off, but still, felt like we should have been able to win that fight afterwards, having disabled that Death Prophet immediately. But didn't really work out. I guess nothing to do about it now. I did see the Shadow Fiend pushing in bottom here, so I used my Invis rune that I picked up, but immediately upon realizing he's not here, I'm just going to scream the creeps and continue farming. Because I love to farm. I have almost enough money for my Hex now, which I will just pick up, because even though it's not an amazing choice at this point, still, why not? Just having Hex is great. I was pinging the haste there because I felt like they could have picked it up, but I guess we wouldn't run her around, and I think Blink's probably up on the Enigma by now. It's always a bit risky, so maybe just made the better choice not doing that. And yeah, instead just going to come here and farm these creeps up a bit. And yeah, I see a big creep wave push coming in the top though, so I should probably be TPing up there. Looks like I'm actually just going to run up there instead, because yeah, my Scythe of Ice is on the secret shop basically, so picking that up first before heading up there. 2 birds with 1 stone. Do pick up the Hex, and actually yeah, see the Drow TPing up here to take this farm instead. So actually, one of my more embarrassing moments. I mean, that shouldn't really ever do that. If you're like, the idea of making sure that you take the farm, especially on a Queen of Pain, who can certainly effectively utilize farm, is fine. But when you're farming carry who really needs farm and a Drow is already there, Yeah, probably shouldn't ult the creep wave. Probably should just give it to her. But I'm greedy. Which I've established many times before. We think there's a chance they could be taking Roche. There's another AA ult over there. Cannot believe they haven't just stolen Roche yet at this point. I mean, they're dire. They have Death Prophet ult, which they can just use for it. I mean, honestly, they haven't really effectively utilized the Death Prophet ult very much at all, other than a couple early towers that they took. So, I don't know. Really should just probably steal Roche with that and the negative armor from Shadow Fiend. But they haven't. Anyway, I can take a drink. We still really want to get this tier 2 tower here because it'll make it easier for us to actually take Roche. So we are pushing forward here. Tower is pretty low. I've kind of a mistake running up that far. Looks like they're actually coming in from behind. I really want to hex the Enigma, but I can't because he has BKB, so instead I'm just going to right-click him. Looking for an opportunity to use the ult. Unfortunately, the two relevant ones do have the BKB up. I do just decide to ult the Death Prophet in the end anyway, just trying to take her down, but my entire team basically gets blown up. I do see the Lich pursuing, so I do finally get an opportunity to hex him. Shackle and Malefice. No, not even Malefice yet, actually, so I'm just going to blink away. I am trying to kind of bait this Enigma, because, yeah, if he actually continues on me, I actually can just kill him, because I know he's ahead of his team now. So I use a Shadow Strike and a Scream. I blink just in time, actually, to dodge the Windrunner power shot. And Zeus, actually, who did buy back, is here with a Lightning Bolt. There's the Windrunner as well, so I'm not actually down. I'm going to throw out the Shadow Strike on her. Zeus with one Lightning Bolt. I can blink on top and get a Scream off, and she's going to be in a lot of trouble now, because with one more right-click plus the Shadow Strike damage, she should probably be dead. But then, yeah, after the Shackle, basically I'm a little bit too far back to get that right-click, so instead I use the ult just to guarantee the kill. No real reason not to, since I'm going to head back to base anyway with this amount of health and mana, and it just guarantees the kill with low cooldown at this point, ultimate. So yeah, basically about what went wrong in that fight. I mean, with the two BKBs, there wasn't a lot I could do. I could have considered blinking down and trying to position myself better, not next to the two BKB heroes, but I felt like wasting my blink would be a pretty risky thing, especially because I could blink into a silence and be in a lot of trouble. Basically, what happened, and you'll see me pinging here in a couple seconds, is that the Tide actually went in there and ravaged. Well, I'm not sure. I think he might have actually hit the Death Prophet possibly with the edge of the ravage, although I'm not even certain of that. He basically ravaged two BKB heroes, essentially because they blinked in and got the BKB ult. BKB and Black Hole on Zeus, and we should have basically just let Zeus die. That would have been the solution. Yeah, you see I'm actually pinging it now. So I'm pinging, he was up here, and the BKB ult was right in the middle there. And he could have actually just backed up, waited for the Black Hole to be off, and then came in and got a big Ravage off. So it's kind of just a lesson in patience, but it didn't really work out. Anyway, back to the present time. Would kind of like to blink in, get Hex and kill on someone. Gonna go for the Death Prophet. Unfortunately, I positioned myself just so I was gonna get hit with the Shackle, but AA ult plus Drow damage is gonna be enough to finish off the Death Prophet pretty quickly, and we do manage to pick up that kill. So it is now finally time to take this freaking mid tower, which has just plagued us for so long. Or we should be taking it, but well, you know me. I don't actually. No, I don't. You know me. I don't know what we're doing exactly. I don't think this is my plan. I guess we're gonna take Roche instead. I don't know why. I feel like we should have just taken the tower. But anyway, I see the Windrunner running up here, and so I immediately just throw out an ult on her because it has more range than I could have screamed afterwards. But Zeus actually uses the ult to get the kill. The reason why I was heading up here was just to make sure that they couldn't initiate from above. And speaking of initiating, well, Tide apparently really hates Eidolons. And he decided to do that. And then he takes a haste rune, even though two people on our team have a bottle, which also rather questionable. Yeah, this Tide, don't really know about him. But yeah, I was heading up to the high ground there just to spot so that they couldn't come get a good initiation on us from the high ground. I saw the Windrunner coming up and just wanted to burst her down as quickly as possible, or even if I didn't manage to kill her, just force her back by ulting her to give my team enough time to steal Roche. And yeah, I'm just back to doing a little bit more split pushing. Yeah, not a whole lot to say about that. I feel like there was at least one more thing I wanted to bring up earlier, but I don't know exactly what it was. I guess I didn't actually specifically mention what my skill build should have been, but I think it pretty clearly played out. I mean, you just go so Blink, 2 points in Shadow Strike early on, then you max Scream, and then maxing Blink, and then finally 2 more points in Shadow Strike is the last things. I mean, some people might max Shadow Strike afterwards, but really getting lower cooldown and longer range Blink is just much more important. And the 2 points in Shadow Strike should be enough for the early harassment, and you're not really using it as a reliable source of damage as frequently in mid-game. As far as items go, like I said, I got the Hex just because Hex is such a good item on Queen of Pain. It also allowed me to get solo kills much more easily, which is kind of something our line relies on a lot. I mean, my mobility, being able to take out that Shadow Fiend with the help of the Zeus ult and AA ult, like I've talked about. So just having that Hex to guarantee those kills is pretty nice. And like I said, if we ever get the opportunity to actually initiate on them for once, it would mean that I could Hex maybe an important target. We're clumping up quite a bit here. We really need to avoid clumping up. This could be risky, but I think we're out of range of anywhere they could really initiate from. So I think we're probably safe. And it is time to finally take down this damn tower. We have a catapult. See someone TP in, so I'm going to run up to the top as much as possible to avoid getting black hole. See, I wanted to Hex the Shadow Fiend there, but he actually BKB'd just in time. Had a perfect opportunity to ult and completely whiff on their entire team there. That's the embarrassing ult I was talking about. So now I'm just going to run away in shame. If someone does come up here, I might try to turn around on him. I don't have my Hex anymore. Shackle's just barely not going to latch. I'm going to throw out the slow on the Windrunner and a Scream. I realize that my team is winning thanks to the Aegis over there. So maybe if Windrunner hangs around for too long, we can't actually get the kill on her. That was one of my more embarrassing moments in playing Dota. Basically, I had a great opportunity for an ult, saw where they all were, and just aimed where they were rather than where they were going. And obviously, because the delay of the ult and their horizontal movement, or lateral movement, I guess is what you call it here, so it wasn't horizontal necessarily. I really screwed that one up. But we ended up winning anyway thanks to the Aegis, so whatever, we all make mistakes. Right? Anyway, just come TP up here to finish off that tower. So we did get 2 towers with it as well. We took that mid tower before the fight started, and the top tier 2 tower. So now we are taking a more significant advantage, even though we're only up 33 to 23. And I do have 5,000 gold. So at this point, as far as the next item goes, I could go for my BKB or an MKB, basically the 2 most likely choices that I'm considering at this point. The reasons for both, well, the BKB makes it so that I can't be silenced, prevents me from being Maleficed, just a few things like this, which are really important, also Shackle Shot, etc. So it just allows me a little bit more freedom of maneuverability in team fights, which is pretty important. And it's already 44 minutes, so even if I pick up my BKB now, I'm still going to have long duration BKBs for a while. So I think it would be fine. At the same time, I could pick up MKB, because we've taken all but one of their outer towers now, so if we're planning on sieging their base, having MKB to hit up from low ground to high ground to deal damage to towers is pretty important. Also, by making myself a more significant right-click damage dealer, it makes it much more difficult for Enigma to find a target to BKB Black Hole, because generally he's just going to want to try to BKB Black Hole the Drow, because she's our primary source of physical damage, and they have BKBs anyway, so they don't really need to worry about magic damage so much. Anyway, going to try to pick off when I saw the Windrunner and the Lich coming over here, I thought I might hit both of them, maybe be able to get 2 kills by hexing the Windrunner afterwards and then screaming, etc., but Windrunner did move slightly out of the ult and shackle me to a tree, so I had to content myself just with picking off the poor Lich. But yeah, so MKB allows us to siege and chip low ground to high ground much more effectively, and makes it much more difficult for the Enigma just to say, okay, I can just BKB Black Hole this one person. As long as I manage to keep my spacing from the Drow, which is something I'm obviously going to do, or at least try to do, the Enigma is going to have a lot more difficulty actually landing an effective BKB Black Hole to stop our DPS. Plus, obviously, MKB going through BKB and disabling the Black Hole is certainly not insignificant. And as we have a Drow aura, I mean, my right-click damage will really become significant with an MKB. So, really arguments in favor of both, but I guess I'm going to go for the MKB this time, just because I really want that right-click damage. And, I don't know, I feel like I can make up for not having the BKB just by always making sure that I'm well positioned and not getting caught in silences and stuff like that very frequently, which I think I can do a pretty good job of. But regardless, I'm not going to buy the MKB yet, because I want to always have that buyback money, because like I talked about, having buyback, especially with travels, is just so important as a Queen of Pain, because I can immediately buy back, TP back into the fight, or TP to creep slightly out of the fight, blink in, and be immediately back in there. So really important for me to always have buyback money. Important for anyone to have buyback money, you know, after 40 minutes in the game, basically, so you don't just lose. I mean, it's a general rule that people should, I would say, apply to themselves. Keeping buyback money, one of the most frequent mistakes, or not keeping buyback money, one of the most frequent mistakes I see players make. So anyway, my team trying to take that last tier 2 tower bottom, so I'm just split pushing top, trying to divert their attention, get them to come up here, And so that means I should probably, I would assume I was going to ult that creep wave, but I guess since my travels are up, I actually want to be able to TP into bottom if my team fights for that tier 2 tower, and in that situation I'd like to have my ult, so instead I'm just going to use the Scream to give creeps momentum. I do see them coming. Actually, could have maybe silenced there, but I don't think there would have been enough of a follow-up. As soon as I saw the 3 of them up there, though, I TP bottom immediately and start right-clicking down this tower. And I'm actually even going to blink forward. Wanted to go get the Hex on the Shadow Fiend, but just barely missed in time. Good BKB reaction time. Tide is going to give it a better Ravage this time. I'm going to look for the opportunity to throw an ult. My ult does manage to hit 2. Shadow Fiend is out of the BKB. Unfortunately, he does get healed up decently, but Trow just doing a ton of right-click damage to that Lich. I tried blinking forward to get the kill on him. But it doesn't even matter, and with this we are going to be able to try to push in, although Enigma has bought back and probably has his ult. I mean, I know he has his ult because I'm a spectator view, but in this game I would assume that he has his ult as well. So just going to try to do as much right-click damage to this tower as possible. I'm playing far forward because I'm really fine with dying, and actually going to try to get a kill on this Windrunner. Still have my Hex up since I didn't get the chance to Hex the Enigma. Or Hex the Shadow Fiend, but speaking of the Enigma actually going to come in and get a nice BKB ult here. Fortunately, the Cold Feet should trigger on the Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend does die. I do buy back immediately, planning on TPing back in. Unfortunately, I have like a 5-second cooldown, but then TP in as soon as I can, because I really want to take this tier 3 tower here. Although the Shadow Fiend did buy back as well, but I mean, that makes this a little bit more even. So just going to try to click down this tower as much as possible. Unfortunately, they do have the glyph. I ult to try to take the creeps and do some damage to him, but actually misses a few creeps and misses him, so now we're just going to have to back out. I do have my Hex, so I'm looking to, I guess, get a Shadow Strike first. Probably should have Hex first, but now I'm just going to blink away. Unfortunately, Zeus dying for my folly, although I think he would have died rather, even if I got the Hex off first anyway. And, yeah, I guess we back out. Unfortunately, not the most effective buyback of all time, but Shadow Fiend bought back as well, so it wasn't the biggest deal ever. And the nice thing about having bought back, well, not necessarily a nice thing, but the thing about having bought back is that it means that now I can go finish up my MKB. Or not finish up, but purchase my MKB, because my buyback is on cooldown for a while anyway, so it's a safe purchase. In the sense that, well, it wouldn't matter if I didn't buy it, because I couldn't buy back anyway. Just take a drink of water. Also, MKB is nice. Even though I don't have treads for the right-click or attack speed, I do have Aghanims, which gives a fair amount of attack speed because of the plus 10 all stats and the plus 10 all stats from the Scythe as well. So I have pretty decent attack speed. Yep, there's that MKB. So I've got some pretty solid items at this point, and can output a fair amount of both magical and physical damage. And yeah, would like to probably head bottom and try to finish off the tower and the racks. Checking Roche, I guess, there with the AA ult, but Roche is not back up yet, so I'm just going to head top, trying to give as much momentum to this creep wave as possible. I don't actually want to ult here. I want to wait for the next creep wave to show up, because I knew it would happen in just a second or two, and yeah, there it does, and then I ult both the remainder of that creep wave as well as the next one. And now with the MKB, I can farm pretty effectively. As far as split pushing goes, some people might like to get Maelstrom on Queen of Pain, and this is fine. However, with an Aghanims, it's certainly not necessary, because Aghanims is a great split pushing item anyway. You don't really need Maelstrom as well. That would really just be excessive. I do see the Shadow Fiend up here. I can probably turn around on him thanks to the Hex, which is what I was talking about. So just going to use the regen rune to get health back up, and then look to blink in on him when I get the opportunity. I use 2 raises, so never a better opportunity than this. I should actually start right-clicking before I come in and throw that Shadow Strike on him. Use my ult actually just before he pops the BKB. Should have ulted actually while he was hexed a little bit sooner. But he's just going to TP out anyway. Unfortunately didn't have the AA Zeus ult combo really coming there. And there's the Zeus ult, which actually reveals him in the base, and the AA ult is flying there. I think it's probably too late to get the kill with the AA ult, but noble effort anyway. And I'm just going to continue pushing up here. Oh, but actually, yeah, we do manage to pick up the Shadow Fiend kill after all with that AA ult, so that's nice. And like I said, just going to continue applying pressure to this lane. Well, I think with the Shadow Fiend dead for 80 seconds, my team should probably head bottom. Although actually they're going to take Roche instead, which is a smart decision. Should take Roche and then probably try to head bottom while I keep the pressure on top. Yeah, Roche should go down pretty quickly to that significantly farmed Drow Ranger. And the opposing team can't really contest it because, well, Shadow Fiend's dead, so they're lacking their primary source of damage. And if they were to all head there, they would lose at least top tower, if not top racks. So, yeah, they basically intelligently enough just stay in their base and prevent me from pushing top. So as soon as I see them here, I'm going to TP bottom and immediately Sonic Wave, the Creep Wave, get all that juicy gold once again, and continue farming down here towards my BKB. Although actually at this point, yeah, I think I just moused over and I wanted to see how much time I had my buyback cooldown, so I will not actually be buying my BKB right away. I think I'll be saving for buyback, and then once I have enough gold to save for buyback as well as buying BKB, and then I will actually purchase up my BKB. Yeah, so not a whole lot else to say about that. We actually don't have any vision on the map now, which is something that should probably be worked on. We probably could use some wards up. Not really my, if I'm not farming, I'm just wasting time. So certainly not, you can't look to me to do that, but I'm sure someone will. Meanwhile, though, looks like we've got at least a few of us grouping up bottom, and that tower is so low that I would really like to just go take it, but I don't know. That's, I mean, like I said, not what I want to be doing with my team. I'd rather be applying pressure somewhere else first, and then transition to that lane once I see that they have TP'd to prevent me from pushing. So I am going to go back to my wheelhouse, which is top. Ooh, or at least I'm going to go on my way towards top, only to find a double damage rune, which, double damage plus MKB, couldn't have been better timing for that. It's actually a little bit tempting now with the 3,900 gold to buy my BKB as well, just to guarantee that I have that with this double damage rune, but it's just too risky. Anyway, gonna pop the double damage rune, blink in a hex on the Death Prophet, but immediately see, well, they've got a little bit of a team there. So I actually back out, and at the same time, Zeus uses his refresher ult to actually kill off the poor Lich. I do get a slow on the Death Prophet since I don't have Hex, but Death Prophet just gets too far back before I can do anything. Yeah, we're just going to look to push in now. Unfortunately, the Zeus ult is down. All we really got with it was a Lich kill, which Lich at this point really not that significant, but I have MKB and DD for at least another 10 seconds or so, so I'll be able to do a very significant amount of damage to this tower from the low ground. Which is what I'm much more excited about. So, like I said, just sitting on the low ground here and right-clicking. Team doing a pretty good job. Well, Zeus keeps moving up next to me on the Tide. Yeah, this is basically how the spacing should look. So we have no clumping for the Enigma ult, and we're still doing a significant amount of damage. Shackle Shot coming out on the Tide, not latching into anything. Just going to throw out my ult on the creeps to try to discourage any push, as well as any heroes. Tied with another ult, doesn't really hit anything, and then yeah, he's going to go in there. Black Hole just catching the Drow, but this time the BKB not lasting long enough, and I am able to hex the Enigma, and then do some few right clicks to take out the Drow before I have to retreat because I don't want to take too much more damage at the cost, though Drow is going to be back up from the Aegis, and with this we are going to be able to push in. Enigma did buy back, but without Black Hole he's not really that big of a threat, and I don't know exactly what I'm looking at here, but yeah. Regardless, it is time to go in and take Rex, and there's really no way for them to stop us from this. Like I said, without the Black Hole, they really don't have the necessary team fight to oppose us with the advantage we have, which before that fight wasn't actually that big of an advantage, about 7,500, which at 50-minute plus mark is not a huge advantage actually, but yeah, for that fight, that pretty much sealed it for us. Unfortunately for the Enigma, just getting hexed in the Black Hole, too big of a deal. Well, and at the same time, even if the Black Hole had gone full duration, it didn't really matter too much. And they did manage to kill the Drow anyway, but the Drow had the Aegis, which again just shows the effectiveness of, or the effect that Roche has in the game. But yeah, so back to farming top. Have almost enough money, actually probably enough money now to get my BKB plus buyback, especially if I sell my Magic Wand. Always a debate between selling your wand and your bottle. Really depends on the hero, but Queen of Pain is a hero who can obviously blink away and regen up and then come back in. So the bottle I think is a bit more effective on her, not to mention the capacity obviously to carry runes, which could be pretty game breaking with something like a DD. Also Invis just being nice for escapes or anything like this. So in general, I think with Queen of Pain it's better to save the bottle than the wand. So anyway, just gonna scream or wave this creep wave, and then I think as soon as my travels are back up, I'm just gonna take it back to base. I blink into the trees just while I'm waiting for the TP because better safe than sorry. And now I'm back to base with enough gold for buyback as well as BKB. Holy on Zeus, just being a douche to the poor Lich because he can. Well, he wanted to prove that he could double ult and just kill the Lich, and the poor Lich without any items. I think he doesn't even have a bracer at this point, which he probably should have. Just goes down. So yeah, 4,000 gold after the BKB purchase, so easily enough for buyback, and have my BKB now almost full items. All I would replace now is just the bottle, which, well, is a ways off from being replaced with anything anyway. And yeah, just gonna head towards somewhere, I guess. I don't really know exactly where. I mean, at this point I should probably just be going back towards top. We've already taken mid, so split pushing top and then having the rest of my teams pressuring in bottom would be really good. With how low the bottom tower is, it'd be really easy for us to just take that. And yeah, so that's probably what I should be doing. But I guess I see a few creeps in the mid first that I want to take. And I'm just checking for a rune. I was thinking, I guess, about heading to the bottom with my team because they said to push, but then, yeah, I realized exactly what it is I should be doing. And instead go to top, see some farm I want to take, and more importantly, the split pushing that I'm going to do. So, now, like I've mentioned before, the goal here, obviously, is to get them to TP to the top, and then TP back to the bottom with my travels and push in. Obviously, because I had to TP top, which is kind of less optimal. Sorry, a little bit something in my throat. Hold on. Because I had to TP to top, which is a little less optimal, I can't TP right away, so I'm telling my team not to fight, just to keep the pressure. And actually, yeah, Dire should have denied the tower there. It's perfectly fine not to deny a tower that's at low HP, because keeping the tower, you know, gives you some sort of a more presence. You can TP a little bit further out, gives you vision, etc. But once you see them, the push coming in, which I guess in this case was just a catapult, they should have actually denied the tower. But speaking of catapults, I've got 2 catapults here, and the other team, I get silenced actually, and the Enigma blinks on me, so I immediately BKB so that he can't Malefist me. Not really that afraid of the black hole, because if he pops the black hole, I'm just going to buy back immediately, TP bottom with my team. We're going to push in, since they don't have the black hole to defend. We would easily take tower and racks, I think. So good decision by him not using the black hole after he sees the BKB, but just instantly BKBing when I see the Enigma blink on top of me, especially since I'm silenced and don't really want to risk anything. And just going to continue pressuring this tower. Like I said, this is just a kind of a lose-lose situation for them. If they come here and actually try to engage me, then my team's just going to push in bottom. If they don't engage me up here, eventually they're going to lose. Well, you just saw there the tower, and then eventually the racks. Get Malefist, but just going to blink back and just wait. We'll kill this creep wave. And continue doing exactly what I'm doing. Probably shouldn't go low ground like that because I don't have vision and they could blink on top of me. So it is a little bit risky, but like I said, I don't really care too much if they engage on me, especially since I have travel or buyback and travels. Anyway, towers down both top and bottom, so it's basically time to go fight, I guess. My team decides, and they are going to go after them bottom. I could just actually sit there and take Rax top, but I do see this Death Prophet who I really want to pick off, so that she can't actually get her ult and anything. But the Shadow Fiend and Lich both already dead bottom. So the game's really over anyway. Just coming over and I'm just going to get a couple right clicks on these heroes. Shadow Strike on the Enigma, followed by some more right clicks. Malefist being kind of annoying, but Draw Ranger, actually the Ancient Empress is just going to pop him anyway. And the GG's come out. So, I mean, I feel like we had a reasonable advantage at most points in the game, although, well, they did pretty well early on getting those towers. I mean, if you take a look, the gold graph was pretty even for a good portion of the game, and then we just kind of elevated at the end. Regardless, I think it was well played by both teams, and Holy's lineup kind of worked out. But regardless, I hope this gave you guys a pretty good idea of how to play this kind of sacrifice lane Queen of Pain. Even though I didn't play it maybe quite as optimally as I could have been a little bit more aggressive earlier on. Just always have to pay attention to the situation you're facing, not just kind of autopilot, which is a little bit what I did. But other than that, you know, sacrifice lane Queen of Pain plus the power of split pushing with Aghanims, or just the importance of split pushing in general. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Sorry that it's been a while for me to make any videos, but like I said, just kind of been busy with other things as well as actual casting. But I will work on getting some more videos up in the near future as I get more good games that I feel are worth commentating for whatever reason. And again, if anyone has the suggestions for keybinds that work better for them, that they think are effective without adding more mouse buttons, because I only have 2 side mouse buttons, I would certainly be interested in hearing them. So anyway, thanks guys for watching, and hope to see you soon.